जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरो वनचारी यमुना तीरो वनचारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय वृंदावन चंद्र राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधे राधा कुंज बिहारी राधा कुंज बिहारी राधे राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय श्री राधे निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय गुरुदेव हरे राम संकीर्तन की श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथामितं तं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशानां जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ऊकं करोति वाचालं अंगुं लंघयति गिरिं तत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनताम्। Hare Krishna, welcome you all for this Friday program on Bhagavad Gita. So we are discussing chapter 7. We started last time discussing chapter 7. So we'll continue. We'll read first 10 shlokas and then we'll continue discussion. Shri Bhagwan Vacha Maya Saktamana Partha Yogam Junjan Padashaya Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Jnashishu Tachunu Jnanam Teham Savidjnanam Idam Vakshami Asheshata Yajñatmani Bhuyanyaj Jnatavyam Apashishyate Manusyanam Sahastreshu Kaschid Yatadi Siddhaya Yatadamapi Siddhanam Kaschin Mam Vedi Tattvata Bhumirapo Nalvayu Kammano Buddhirevacha Ahankarati Yamme Inna Prakriti Ashtata Apariyamitastu Anyam Prakritim Vidimapme Param Jivabhutam Mahabahu Yedam Dharaya Jagat Etadjonini Bhutani Sarvani Iti Upadhajara Sarvani Iti Upadharaya Aham Krishnasya Jagata Prabhava Pralaya Satha Matta Partaram Nanyat Kinchidasti Dhananjaya Mayi Sarvam Idam Proktam Sutre Mani Ganaiva Rasoham Apsukonteya Prabhasmi Sashishuraya Pranava Sarvavedeshu Shabdakhe Paurusham Dushu Punyo Gandha Prithvimcha Tejaschasmi Bhavasha Jivanam Sarvabhuteshu Tapaschasmi Tapashvisho Bijam Mam Sarvabhutanam Vidhi Partha Sanatanam Buddhir Buddhimatam Asmi Tejas Tejasvitamaham Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Last time we discussed the starting sloka. It says Maya Sakta Manah Partha. Krishna is saying two things in this particular sloka. Maya Asakta and second is Tat Shrunu. We discussed that this chapter is the starting point of Bhakti Yoga. Krishna explained the Bhakti Yoga. So far he's talked about the Jiva, primarily about the summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita, and then he's spoken about the Karma Yoga section. And now he's going to speak about himself. So in the last chapter, in the sixth chapter of last sloka, sixth chapter, last slokas, he says, Yoginam ape sarvesham madgatina antaratmana shraddhavan bhajati yomam samyuktatimata. He's saying, basically, of all the yogis, one Yoginam ape sarvesham madgatina antaram, jo mujhme man lagata hai. The one who is actually investing his mind into me, he is the best of the yogis. Not the one who is performing Ashtanga Yoga, not the one who is performing Dhyana Yoga or any other kind of yoga. One who is focused on me. That's why in this chapter he is talking about who should you focus on. If he says he should focus on Krishna, then one should know how Krishna is. What is the nature of Krishna? What is the features of Krishna? How does it look like? So that's why he started speaking about himself. So last time we spoke about how we spoke about two things. One is about hearing, Tat Shrunu, very important that we hear from authority regularly. And second thing we talked about was Mai Asakta. We should be Asakta to Krishna. Right now we are Asakta to so many other things which are not related to Krishna. And that is one of the reasons why we are struggling in this material world to sustain ourselves and or to basically we are miserable in this life because we are attached to so many things, asakta, right? So how do we remove this asakti? By hearing more and more about Krishna, we will become asakti. When we understand the beautiful features of Krishna, when we understand how magnanimous he is, when we understand how renunciate he is, we understand he is the source of everything, how much trouble he is taking for us, then we'll become attached to him. Unless you hear about somebody, you will not get attached. All right. So I give the several examples of Ravan is one example. Rukmini was another example. When Rukmini heard about Krishna, she became attached to him, and she wanted to, marry Krishna. Similarly, a lot of time we hear about certain place and then we become attached. Like somebody comes and says, "Hey, Australia is so nice. New Zealand is so nice. Switzerland is so nice," and we hear and think, "Oh, I should also go." So we become attached to actually certain things because of that, right? Like that. Okay, so that is what we discussed. So today we'll focus upon second shloka, which talks about knowledge. So Krishna is saying, "Jnanam te aham savidjnanam idam vakshami asheshitam yat jnatva neyo bhuyannuch jnatabhyam avashishyate." He's saying, "I shall now declare unto you in full knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. Thus being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know." So actually, if you look at Jesus Christ, when Jesus Christ gave the Bible or the knowledge of Bible to people who were fishermen, he said, "There is actually so much for me to tell you, but you will not be able to actually digest it. So I'm not going to tell you, but I'm going to only give the basics." So he gave only the basics of the dharma, which is the 10 commandments. You should not kill anybody, you should not cheat anybody, very, very basic fundamentals, which are assumed when you actually read Bhagavad Gita. It is assumed that you're cheating somebody, you're not killing somebody, you're not, eating non-veg. All these things are assumed when you read Bhagavad Gita, at least at a, theoretical level. So, but here Krishna is saying, "I shall declare unto you knowledge which is phenomenal." Phenomenal is extraordinary and numinous. That is what he's saying, right? So now he actually started declaring the knowledge now, right? So if you look at it, there are two words that are very, very important, which we'll focus on this entire. This is the crux of the entire class today. Jnanam and Vijnanam. Jnanam means theoretical knowledge. Vijnanam means practical knowledge. So for example, theoretical knowledge is I am a soul, I am not a body. This is theoretical, I understand this. Practical is I should reduce the bodily demands and I should reduce focus on soul, which means every day, gradually, as every year passes, every month passes, my activities related to soul should increase, not reduce, which means I should reduce my eating, sleeping, enjoyment, and all the activities which are related to body. Kam se kam karna hai. If you look at Srila Prabhupada, when he actually left his body, for the last 1 or 2 months, he gave up eating, he gave up all the activities. He was bedridden and he was not even drinking anything. He was totally only on breath he was sustaining, because he wanted to show by example that how do you reduce their bodily needs like that. So that is what meant by practical knowledge. Basically, how do I apply that in my life? That is called practical knowledge. So now here Krishna is talking about a different aspect of it. He's saying this jnanam means phenomenal knowledge. Phenomenal knowledge means knowledge about my material and spiritual energies, right? So jnanam means knowledge about my material and spiritual energy. What are these material and spiritual energies? So material energy is basically the energy which we see around us, the matter, right? And spiritual energy are we, jivas, that are his energies, right? And vijnanam means he is talking about knowledge about Krishna, his personality and his sweetness. That is the vijnana part of it, right? So we'll go in details. So here focus is on greatness and sweetness of Krishna. Generally, you know. So jnana here refers to the greatness. Greatness means he's created this entire universes, and so many material things. And sweetness is his original feature, right? Like that. So now you will see that Krishna will describe jnana in chapter 7 and 8, which is basically about his material energies. And then in 9th chapter, which is like the sweetest chapter, he'll talk about vijnana. And then in 10th and 11th chapter, he'll speak about both jnana and vijnana. As I said, jnana is basically the knowledge about material and spiritual energies. How this world was created, what are these different elements, bhumi rapo nala vayu kham mano buddhi vacha, which is another sloka which is coming up now. And then vijnana is basically who is Krishna, how does he deal with devotees. That is the vijnana part. Right? So jnana concerns the swarup of the Lord related to this material and spiritual energy. And so jiva and material prakriti, that is his jnana. And vijnana is his original features, Krishna's original features. Right? So that's why the original form, features, and activities of the Lord are not material in nature. They are spiritual in nature. They are not never to be considered as material in nature. Right? So now what happens when we know this knowledge then? Jnana and vijnana. Right? So Krishna is saying, when you know this knowledge, when you know about the material world, when you know about jiva, that you are a soul, and when you know about Krishna, there is nothing else to be known. That is the highest level of knowledge. Raj Vidya Raj Gujam. That is in the 9th chapter. We'll see. This is the most confidential knowledge and is the king of knowledge. Right? Because everything is coming from Krishna. If you know Krishna, what else is there to know? That's what it's saying. Right? So that's why. So now, why is he giving the knowledge here? Because in the earlier chapter he said tat shunu. He said tat shunu. Maya sakta mana partha yogam yunjat madashraya. He said tat shunu. Suno. Arjun, suno meri baat. And Arjun is ready to hear. If you are ready to hear, here I am. I am giving the knowledge. That's what he's saying. Right? Now let's go back to the basics. So when you talk about knowledge, if you ask anybody about knowledge, what are the answers you'll get? What areas people generally focus on for knowledge? If you ask somebody what knowledge should we have, so what is the answer you generally get? In general, I'm saying not about devotees, but in general, people.
They say like you should have like vyavhar jnaan, dunya kaisa chalta hai. You should know Chakya Panje, or you should be aware of.
Correct. So basically, they said you should be street smart, which means you should know, who's what, how do I deal with people. That is one kind of knowledge. Okay. What else? Experiential knowledge. Yeah, Kunal is saying experience. I want to experience certain things, and tabi wo knowledge manta. That is another thing. I want to experience certain things. For example, I want to experience how it is going on a cruise. I want to experience how it is going on a beach. That is another knowledge. Yeah, that is one other. What else?
Information
of any kind. Who is the prime minister of this country? Who is the prime minister of that country? Abhi agla prime minister kaun banega? That knowledge also people want. Yes. What else?
Heavily talked topic of financial knowledge.
Financial.
I only 99% I only hear that one only.
Everywhere there's financial knowledge. Kitna paisa kamaya? A businessman every day he counts his money. How much did we make the money today? If we make a loss, how can we reduce the loss? If you make a profit, how can you consistently continue going profit? So who has made how much money? People have so much knowledge. I am a part of one group, one of our society group. There's one person during the lockdown especially used to post this. He used to post at least 12 papers, 12 or 13 papers, newspapers, online newspapers or PDF copies. I was thinking to read one newspaper, it is a headache. Headache in the sense, it is too much. But we have to read it because just so that we can be in touch with the external energy, external knowledge. Otherwise, we'll be like, So, like one time, Radhanath Maharaj was staying in New Vrindavan. New Vrindavan is in West Virginia. So after he went from India, he was posted in New Vrindavan. It was a very, very remote place there. It's a farmhouse, which is like very, very remote, 200 kilometers away from any city life. No electricity, no water supply, no buildings, nothing. Only farm everywhere. There was a mountain top temple He used to stay there. So he was there for 2-3 years. He did not come down at all, or he did not go to the city. So after that, he was told you can go and preach around the cities. He went to preach in a college. So now let's say, I'm just giving an example. Now let's say Modi is the prime minister. He started saying, so our prime minister Manmohan Singh, like that he would say. And people are saying, what? Manmohan Singh? He said, yeah, our prime minister. He said, he was the prime minister 10 years back. Where are you? And he said, really? Because he had never read a newspaper in the last 10 years. He had never, watched news. Can you imagine? And he was always, only in Krishna consciousness. And he used to smell like cow because he used to take care of cows. So one lady, he gave a class, and then one lady raised his hand, and she said, why do you smell like a cow? That is the question she asked. So like that, the people are so much, into news. Chahiye, ye chahiye, wo chahiye. They want to know everything, right? Like that. So knowledge means generally people are about, politics, social science, biology, chemistry, so much of knowledge is there. Knowledge about each other, technology knowledge, then gossip. Kiska shadi kiske sath hua, kaun kahan bhag gaya. Like that, people are very much interested to know this. Knowledge to make presence felt in outside communities like workplace, friends, hobbies. Yes, they want to have the knowledge so that they can, feel part of the community, like that. So people, I was telling you, right? This guy used to post 12, 13 newspapers. I was saying, how does he get to read so many newspapers? But people have got knowledge, they're reading so many things, and they're getting so much knowledge. One time, Radheshyam Prabhu was going in a train from Pune to Mumbai. It takes around 3 hours. So he sat on the seat, and in front of him, one person came, and he opened the newspaper. As soon as the train started, he opened the newspaper. And by the time the train went to Dadar, 3 hours, he was engrossed in the newspaper. And Radheshyam Prabhu was, curious. He said, after he stopped reading, he said, what do you read so much in the newspaper? And this guy said, I have given 2-3 rupees for this. I have to, vasool karna padega pura much. I have to, make sure I get everything out of it. So people are so much engrossed in the newspaper that, 2-3 hours they can read newspaper. Imagine. All right. So that is that. So basically, this feature of understanding knowledge is coming from the original characteristic of the soul. Any idea which characteristics? There are 3 characteristics. Sat, Chit, Anand. Which one is that? Chit, potency. Chit is knowledge. Sat is eternity. Chit is knowledge. And Anand is bliss. So the Chit is basically we want to know about something. So the curiosity is there, right? So when we are in the spiritual, we know everything about Krishna, right? But when you come to the material world, you want to know who killed whom, what happened to this person, what happened to that person. Like nowadays, there's one big news which is making rounds is, how Djokovic is, not, able to play in Australia. It's a big news because he is number 1 tennis player, and they had some issues that he was not vaccinated. That's why people wanted to, and he wanted to play, but he was not vaccinated. He was given exemption, and when he landed in Melbourne, his visa was cancelled. Like that, some politics happened there. That is making a big rounds now. Because he's number 1 in tennis. If he's number 1, then there will be a lot of noise. So people want to know what happened to him. If Bollywood actor and actresses get divorced, there's a lot of news. Oh, kya hua uska? Kyun shadi chhod diya? Shadi kar liya to. These newspapers also don't have any other business. They, for 1 month, they are printing their photos, as if they are Krishna and Radha only. So like that, people want to know all these, things. That is not knowledge. That is all, rubbish crap. Of no use. What is the use of discussing these points actually? So real knowledge is how was the world created? Who created the world? Why have I come to this world? Who is Krishna? What is this matter? Who am I? Who is controlling this matter and me? It is called MSC. Matter, soul, and controller. So there is a matter, there is a soul, and there is a controller. That is the real knowledge. MSC. Right? Like one time, so I heard this in lecture. I think Puran also would have heard this. because I heard this when I was coming back from Vadan. Puran was with us. So one time one brahmachari, was talking to one person and he said, I am doing a research, PhD on a bubble, soap bubble. And I was saying, what? He is doing a research on soap bubble. What do you mean? He said, the soap makers, actually, they want the bubble foam to last for longer, so that the soap is in premium quality. So he is making a research how to maintain the bubble for longer without actually it getting busted. So he is doing a PhD on that. सोचो किसके ऊपर knowledge, क्या knowledge चाहिए लोगों को? That's not real knowledge. So because Krishna, when you try to understand Krishna, actually that knowledge is the most beautiful knowledge and the most full knowledge, because from Krishna everything is coming. And if you know Krishna, then you will know everything like that. Right? So now another aspect is also is that in Krishna consciousness, we should not have blind faith. Like for example, if I tell you, you should worship Krishna, you should not worship Lord Shiva, right? So we should not take it for granted. No, Anand ne bataya, ya Prabhupada ne bataya, so I'll just take. Like one time Prabhupada was going on a walk. So he was talking about so many things. He was saying, oh, this is such a nice building, we should buy it. And the disciples which were, yes, Prabhupada. Like that he said 3-4 times. And then he said, oh, such a nice car, we should buy it. And the disciples said, yes, Prabhupada. He looked at them and said, what, yes, Prabhupada? You should question me, why should we buy a car? That is real knowledge. Knowledge doesn't mean just yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. That is not real knowledge. Real knowledge means you should humbly challenge. Right? Why do you, Prabhupada, do you think we should buy this car? What is it of use? And that is the real knowledge. So when you understand a particular philosophy, or when you are following something, you should understand it thoroughly before actually accepting it. And otherwise, it is not knowledge. Like for example, I remember in our childhood, when we used to do the arti and all, I never understood why do we do arti, why वो धूप लेते हैं, why do we do these things? But then when we came to ISKCON, we all got the real knowledge. Why are we offering these different articles to Krishna or to God, right? Like that. So that is, when you challenge, when you understand the concept, that actually is the real knowledge. Because blind faith is of no use. Blind faith actually leads to sentimentalism. Sentimentalism means it's just for the sake of doing, right? So there is religion and there is philosophy. A religion without philosophy is sentimentalism or fanatism, right? And philosophy without religion, which means I just know the knowledge. I am a soul, I know that. Krishna is God, I know that. I know everything. Right? But what are you doing? I'm not doing anything. Which means I got the knowledge, I got the philosophy, but I'm not following the religion, which means I'm not following the practice. I'm not doing darshan, I'm not doing chanting. Kuch nahi kar raha hu. That actually leads to mental speculation. Mental speculation means I will do whatever I want, like that. So both are required. You need to understand philosophy and you need to understand religion, the rituals, right? Like we cut a cake on birthdays. Why do we cut a cake on birthday? You need to understand. Nobody asks question. They just blindly cut the cake. And Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says, and the birthday boy or girl, when he, blows the candle, he is so close to the cake that his, saliva is also goes on the candle and on the cake, and still we eat it. Nobody questions that. But when people actually go to a temple, oh, blind faith, blind faith, blind faith. That is not actually blind faith. You have to understand the philosophy behind why. Like people say, why do people go to Balaji and give their hair? So nobody knows the logic. That's why they are asking this question. If they know the logic, they will understand. If you go to Balaji and you give up your hair, I've seen when we recently went, one woman actually gave up their hair, and it's not easy for a woman to give up hair because that's a sign of beauty. Why are they doing that? They are doing it as a sacrifice. They want to give everything to Balaji. That's why they are doing it. And that's the mood, right? So when you understand this, then you won't question, hey, why are you doing hair? Because the knowledge is there, right? A lot of people say, oh, what? This is all cheating business. If you give more money, you don't have to stand in the queue. You can immediately get an entry. People question like this. So they don't understand that surrendering process doesn't necessarily only mean going in a queue and standing. Surrendering process also means giving your hard-earned money. That's also surrender. If you can't do that, then you can go and stand in the queue. No problem with that. And doesn't mean that if somebody is jumping the queue by giving money, he will, he will get special darshan by Balaji and he'll be very happy. No, as compared to somebody who's standing in queue for 10 hours. No, aisa nahi hai. Balaji is, Krishna is looking at your dedication and surrender and humility. If I go there saying, Dekho, I have given 10,000 rupees and I am getting the darshan. Krishna will, crack your ego very soon. But I humbly go there and say, actually, I should be giving everything to Balaji, but I am not able to. Balaji will be so happy. But you are standing in the queuing saying, Dekho, 12 घंटे तक खड़ा था मैं, फिर दर्शन पाया. Krishna will not be happy. Krishna say, अरे 12 घंटा क्या? Demigods are lining up at Dwarka for so many days and so many months. They don't get darshan. Dwarpal there, Jai Vijay, they're standing there saying, Indra bhaiya jao bhi. Abhi time nahi Krishna ke paas. Kal aa ja tum. This is what they say. Indra ko jana padta hai wapas. He has to go back and he has to then come back again the next day, which he doesn't get darshan. Right? At least we get darshan here if you go to Balaji. So this concept, when one understands, then we are able to appreciate the rituals. Otherwise, we just think, "Arey, pata nahi, very blindly." That's what we think, right? Like somebody says, this sati vrata, the process of doing sati. It's not related to religion actually, but I'm just talking about the knowledge part of it. People say, "Hey, what is this nonsense?" Woman go sati for a husband. This is not very good. This should be stopped. Prabhupada says that as a in the modern era, that entire process got perverted, and that's why it has to be stopped. Otherwise, in the original concept, if you look at Mahabharata, and if you look at the episode when Pandu was killed, Pandu died. So there were Madri and Kunti. So both of them actually wanted to go sati. Now, why do you think both of them wanted to go sati? Because both of them loved, from their heart, Pandu, and they couldn't bear the separation of Pandu. So both of them wanted to give up their lives. But Madri said, "Look, if both of us give up their life, what will happen to our children?" So Madri said, "Look, I cannot stay without Pandu, and I cannot actually, because you got 3 children, I got 2 children. I will be partial to my children. But you are not like that. You are actually very magnanimous. You will not be partial. I know that. You will be able to manage this." So she goes sati. So there is a competition going on here. Madhuri is saying, "I will go." Kunti is saying, "No, I'll go." It is not that forcefully they are telling you, "Chalo, chalo, abhi sati jana hai." So the concept was the wife was so much attached to the husband. Obviously, the husband was also attached. So the husband was also very good qualified. ऐसा नहीं कि वो बेवड़ा होता था, then they will get attached. Not like that. But they were so much attached to each other, the love each other they had, they couldn't bear the separation, and they wanted to go sati. They wanted to go with their husband. That is sati, actually, originally. And also the concept was later used in the Kshatriya, this thing, that when the Muslims would attack or any other army would attack, the first thing they would do is they would rape women. So to avoid that, they would go, mass sati. So that was the concept. So when you understand this concept, when you got the knowledge, then you can appreciate the process. Then you cannot say, then you can understand. But later people thought, this process is the when somebody, husband dies, wife has to go sati. It's a voluntary process. If the wife doesn't want to go, what if she wants to leave, kyun force kar rahe? But people didn't understand this. So India, modern era, everything has become perverted. So this also become perverted. So when you understand this knowledge, then you can appreciate. That's why knowledge is so important, especially spiritual knowledge. Right? When you understand this knowledge, then you can actually appreciate it. Okay? So disciple is the one who accepts knowledge by discipline. Any field of knowledge. When we were engineering, we used to follow our professors. We used to do our projects. We used to get guidance. So we were disciples. When we later went on to start job, we were under somebody for about a couple of years until we actually were able to start doing our own, like internships, right? So probationary period. So that is also like a disciple and guru relationship. Obviously, you don't, then you kick out your guru and you become the boss. But the point here is that there is a disciple relationship in even the material world. In the spiritual world, there is a disciple and spiritual relation, guru relationship. And when the disciple actually gets the knowledge by that process, then he can understand. So this chapter is giving the knowledge of the person who is the supreme object of worship. We worship so many people. You probably worship our parents. You probably worship, your boss. If you're lucky and you get a good boss, and you want to worship. But the supreme object of worship is Krishna, and that knowledge is given in this chapter. That is the point, right? So by knowing this, by worshipping Krishna and by knowing Krishna, your problems are solved in life. That is the power of this knowledge, right? Like that. One time, one Muslim person, he was staying in one village, and he wanted to serve the best of the best. So he went to the eldest person in the city, and he said, in the village, and he said, I want to serve the best of the best. He said, in our village, the Sarpanch is the best. You go and talk to him. He went and he said, Sarpanch, are you the best in this village? He said, yes. So he started, serving him. And one day, he saw the Sarpanch was going to another place, district place. He said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to district place. For what? He said, I've got my boss, Nawab, my district collector. I'm going to meet him. Why? Because he's superior to me. Oh, really? Then why should I serve you? I should have served the Nawab then. I said, okay. He goes and starts serving the Nawab, the district collector. And then he serves him. And one day he sees the district collector goes to another place, Delhi. And he said, hey, where are you going? I go to Delhi. Why? Because I got there's a king who I serve. He said, really? So you're not superior? No, I'm only superior for this district. But from, on top of me, there is a king who serves, who takes care of everybody in the country. Really? Then why should I serve you? I'll go and serve the king. Okay, you go, sir. So he started to serve the king. And when the king was being served, one day he saw the king also went to some place and he was paying obeisance. He said, hey, where are you going? He said, I go to the temple or to the mosque and I pray obeisances. He said, really? Which means you are not a superior. So I am superior only for this country. For the entire creation, this Lord who is sitting inside, he is superior. Then he said, why should I worship you? I'll worship Lord. So like that, this person was able to find the best of the best. Finally, and he became a devotee. So like that, the knowledge of who is the best is given to us in Bhagavad. And that helps us to become, that knowledge actually helps us to come to the position of serving the best. Otherwise, we are, serving our husband, our wife, our kids, our parents, our boss, our colleagues, our friends, our relatives. That is not going to help us. Obviously, it doesn't mean we have to give it up. But the best service is serving the best person, right? Because when we serve Krishna, our senses become satisfied. Because Krishna is Govinda. Govinda means serving the senses. Govinda means the master of the senses. Rishikesh or Govinda. So when you serve Krishna, our senses become satisfied. Our senses become purified, right? And devotional service means purifying our senses. Abhi kya problem hai ki the problem is our senses are become too much engrossed in material things. We cannot actually give up some of the material things. Like, imagine if your mobile is kidnapped by somebody for one day. You will not be able to live without your mobile. You are always saying, message nahi aaya, WhatsApp nahi aaya. Where are we? There was a time when we were living without WhatsApp, living without all these apps on the mobile. There was a time, but now we cannot even imagine. I don't even know the children nowadays. Children like Avni or our daughters or Swara, they would know what a dial phone would be. Like that phone. I don't think they will be able to know. So we have become attached to this, so many material things, right? So the process of devotional service is to remove our attachment from there and attach it to Krishna. That is the process. So when we get this knowledge, कि भाई क्यों कर रहे हैं भगवान की भक्ति? क्योंकि we do not belong to this material world. We are spirit souls. Jiva Swarupe Krishna Nittas, and we are servants of Krishna. We are servants of God. So instead of serving our senses or instead of serving our family, we are supposed to serve Krishna. When we get this knowledge, then we can perform worship and then we can liberate ourselves from this material world. So spiritual life means being pure. And for that we do devotional service. And when we do devotional service, we become pure because Krishna is pure and we are also pure. We want to become pure. When you become pure, then only Krishna accepts us. Right? Otherwise, Krishna doesn't accept us. Right? So we have to be free from all of these things. Oh, I am an engineer, I am a doctor, I'm a solution designer, I'm a student, I am this, I am that. Sarvopadi vinurubhaktam tapparatve nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti. You have to get rid of all the designation. My father, I'm a father, I am a mother. सब कुछ छोड़ देना है. I am only Das, Krishna Das. So this Anand Balram Das means I am a Das of Balram, right? Like that. That's when we'll get the final stage. So knowledge means knowing I am part and parcel of Krishna, right? That is knowledge. Knowledge means vidya vinaya sampanne brahmani gavi hastene shoni chaiva sapakeche pandita samadarshi. Vidya, what is the vidya? Vidya is, every living being is part and parcel of Krishna. Why am I becoming envious with the person, right? Like knowledge also means, because many times we have problem. We don't like a particular person, we like a particular person. Why? With a particular person who we like, he also likes us or he appreciates us. Purana kitna acha hai. And then Purana will like that person because he appreciates. If somebody chastises Purana, hey, kya karta Purana? Obviously Purana will not like. So that is not knowledge. Knowledge means that everybody is vidya vinaya sampanna. Everybody is related to Krishna. So knowledge means understanding what will please Krishna. What will please Krishna? It will please Krishna if we do not envy anybody. If we please Krishna, if we serve as much as try to serve everybody. That is real knowledge. So Radhanath Maharaj says in one lecture, what is beauty? Beauty doesn't mean external beauty, sundar dikh rahe hain, ya bahut paisa hai, you got a lot of money or you look beautiful. That is not real beauty. For a devotee, beauty means whatever Krishna likes, that is beautiful. Whatever Krishna thinks is beautiful, is beauty. So what does Krishna like? Krishna likes humility. Krishna likes service, right? Krishna likes, somebody who is, dedicated to religion. That's where I also should like, and that is beautiful for me. Beautiful doesn't only external things doesn't necessarily only mean beauty, right? Like that. So that is knowledge. Ye knowledge actual zaruri hai. Baki material knowledge leke hum karenge kya? I mean, I'm not saying you should not have material knowledge, because to live in this world we have to have the knowledge, but just bare minimum. Not that you go so much deep into the material knowledge that you forget, don't have in time for spiritual knowledge. No, you just have to bare minimum how much you can survive in this material world. That much material knowledge is good enough for us, right? Like that. Okay, so now Krishna is saying here that nothing remains to be known when you know this knowledge. Why? Because you know that who is the source of all sources, who is the cause of all causes, and the only object of meditation of all the yogis. Then the knowable becomes known. I have to decipher this. Knowable becomes known when one knows the source of all sources, cause of all causes, and the only object of meditation for all yogis. Then all knowable becomes known. मतलब क्या? सारा जो जानना है, whatever you should know, it becomes known. When one knows Krishna, that is the reality. Right? That's why Krishna is saying nothing will remain to be known. इसको छोड़ के और कुछ है ही नहीं बताने लगे. क्या बताऊं? That's what Krishna is saying. Which means when you know about Krishna, jnana vijnana, soul, matter, and spirit, soul, matter, and the controller, and the features of Krishna. What else should we know? It's not required, right? Like that. So that is the real knowledge. So now one might say, hey, what does it mean? Does it mean that we should not even know things which will be required for our life? No, I'm saying bare minimum which is required for your job, for our subsistence, that much we should have. But anything beyond that is not required, because the real knowledge is Krishna. Now there is also this section in Bhagavatam 2.4.6 where the similar sloka comes in picture, where Parikshit Maharaj is asking, how was this world created? So actually, our inquisitive mind, if there is inquisitive mind, the inquisitive mind asks about creation. So how was this world created? Why am I actually suffering here? Who created us? Why did I come here? All these questions are asked. Right? And for everything unknown, we approach a learned person. Right? And a spiritual master then imparts the knowledge to the disciple. Right? For example, in device we cover this topic. Wherever there is a creation, there has to be a creator. And for example, I'm speaking to this laptop now. This laptop, there is a creator. HP company is the creator of this laptop. I got a mobile. I'm wearing a kurta here. Somebody's created this. Right? So understanding this through logical reason is knowledge. If this world is everything I see here is created by somebody, which means the world is also created by somebody, and that somebody is God. So this knowledge is also the original knowledge, right? And this knowledge is accepted by Brahmaji, Lord Shiva, and all the demigods. Right? But only fools derive this knowledge. Fools, they don't understand. Avajananti ma mudha manusham ashrita, 9.11. There Krishna says that people who are fools, they don't understand. They do not try to even understand. Like that. So now in this section, if you'll see, Parikshit Maharaj, he's sitting there, and he's not asking, oh, I'm going to die in 7 days, 7 nights. You better tell me all the Vrindavan pastimes of Krishna. No, he says, you tell me how was creation formed. The Brahmana kaise bana? Batao bhai. How was it created? He wants to know, because when we have to know how the knowledge, we have to systematically go. And at least at this our stage, for us, it is very, very important to know how this universe was created. Who are we? What is the relationship? Who is the controller? The creation knowledge is required. That's why you'll see in the entire 18 volumes of Bhagavatam, second volume is entirely given for creation. How was this entire universe created? Because it's very important. In addition to understanding Krishna's Leela, we should also understand how this universe was created and how it was sustained like that. We shouldn't immediately jump to 10th country. There are so many people who say, oh, one time one person came to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada was staying in their house in one place. And then they one day met him in the room and said, Prabhupada, Swamiji, hame dara Ras Leela bataye na, please. Please tell us Ras Leela. And Prabhupada said, I don't know anything about Ras Leela. Prabhupada knew, but he didn't want to say. And please tell something. We are very interested. Prabhupada said, you might be qualified to hear Ras Leela, but I am not qualified to tell Ras Leela. He said, because it's a very, very esoteric topic of how Krishna and Gopis are actually dealing with each other. Right? It's a very, very, what should I say, confidential topic. Confidential because you have to have that maturity to understand why they are dealing in the way they are dealing. Right? Otherwise, you'll think, hey, what is this? Krishna is roaming with so many ladies. Is this good or what? That's why they ask these questions. And why are they asking these questions? They're asking these questions because they are not able to roam with other ladies. That's why they're asking this question. One time, one devotee in Australia. So Radha Govind Maharaj was giving class, and one lady stood up and she said, after the class, why is Krishna always shown with Radha? And Maharaj says, what is the problem? No, he was married to Rukmini and Satyabhama, so but why is Radha shown there? So Maharaj looked at her and said, is your daughter married to Krishna? He said, no. Then why are you bothered about it? Why are you become envious? Like that he asked. Because, people have this, inherent question and curiosity because they have some envy towards Krishna. If there's no envy, why would this question come? Envy नहीं तो फिर क्वेश्चन क्यों आएगा कि राधा को क्यों खड़ी किया, मुझे क्यों खड़ी नहीं किया? अरे तुम्हारा हैसियत है क्या? Are you qualified to be even at least knowing Krishna? So Maharaj asked me, तुम्हारी बेटी दी है कि कृष्ण को, तुम इतना क्यों परेशान हो रहे? That's what he asked. And they say, hey, ऐसा क्यों बोल रहे? Why are you saying like that? And Maharaj said, look, these are all esoteric topics. You can't understand who is Krishna, Radharani. Radharani and Krishna are actually non-different in one sense. They are so much attached to each other, like that. So that's why you shouldn't jump to the 10th topic. Arey, what was Krishna doing with the gopis? Please tell us the Leela. So a lot of people actually, make a cheap publicity out of it because people like to hear these topics. Where did gopis go and what did they do there? They just directly jump to 10 topic and they don't make so much of aparad. So our heart should be purified by the time we reach 10th canto. That the Bhagavatam has been arranged in such a way that the time you reach first canto, second canto, third canto, your heart is sufficiently purified to understand the 10th topic. At least appreciate that, if not understand. So, why should we understand this material energy? Why was it created? Because we are under the control of material energy. We cannot get out of this body. We are stuck in this body. We are not able to get out of this body. And we cannot even jump out of this universe. Kahan jayenge? Right? So we are stuck here. So if you are stuck there, you should understand why we are stuck, how we are stuck, how to get out of it. That is why we should know the creation. Right? And why should we know about Krishna? Because when you know about Krishna, then only we'll have unflinching faith about Krishna. For example, if you don't know anything about me, and I am talking on some subject, you say, who is this guy talking? Right? So when we have to love Krishna, our ultimate aim is to love Krishna, then we should know about Krishna. Who is Krishna? What is Krishna? What does he do? Why does he do like that? What is his powers? Then you will have unflinching faith. Oh, this is God, really God. Then you start appreciating Krishna more and more. Right? So otherwise, we'll make mistakes like others. We'll say, hey, he's just a politician. You know how he cheated Duryodhan when he was going naked to his mother. He cheated him. He cheated Karna. When Karna was without the chariot, he was asked to be killed by Arjun. Cheated. Cheating kya no? Then they say he cheated Dronacharya. Dronacharya ko aise hi maar dala. So they don't understand the actual mood of Krishna because they only look at the superficial things. They are not able to understand. Oh, he's the one who used to steal butter. Chore hai chore. Like that. Because they are not understand Krishna philosophy. Krishna is saying Janma karma chame divyam evam vyujatatata. 4th chapter maybe I've seen this. If you understand my birth and activities, then you can come back. So you can understand Krishna. But at least we should know the basics. Krishna kaun hai. Then we can have unflinching faith. Otherwise, we'll also get bewildered by these people, like these people. Namam dushkratana muda prapadante naradhama. Like that. We get also bewildered by this energy. So that's why this jnana and vijnana means knowing about Krishna, who we are, what is this material world, who are soul, what is my relationship with Krishna. There are 3 things: sambandha, abhidheya, and prayojan. Sambandha means what is my relationship with Krishna. Abhidheya means what is the process, and prayojan means why am I doing this? Kyun kar rahe itna aata pita hum log? As Tukaram Maharaj says, Janma bhar aata pita kela. I don't know what the exact word is. Shevat god bhava manun. I have done so much of labor just so that I can remember Krishna at my end, at the end of my life. That is what it is. So our mool karan of doing all this atapita, giving up our enjoyment, giving up our TV, giving up our movies is just so that we can understand Krishna and we can dedicate our life to Krishna. That is the whole point. So Jnana Vijnana is actually a very what should I say, elaborate topic to understand why we are doing what we are doing. So when we understand this, then we can actually become more mature in bhakti. Hare Krishna. I think we'll stop here. Any questions?